Being an intellectual in real life means more than just being theoretically smart with a bunch of knowledge in head. It is more about applying critical thinking, curiosity, and thoughtful reflection to everyday situation, decision, and social interaction. This means an intellectual person does not just memorize facts or quote theories. They tend to question assumptions, seek deeper understanding, and connect ideas to real world problems. They love to engage in meaningful conversation, stay open to learning, and reflect on their own beliefs and action. Their intelligence will show itself in the form of how they solve problems, navigate complexity, and contribute thoughtfully to society. The picture is taken during Survey of KKN in Jabor Village, Mojokerto. Our team sat down with the village leader to discuss real issues happening at the village. Our mission in KKN was to identify the community's core needs and create sustainable programs to address them. We listen, ask questions, and begin to understand the social, cultural, and economic layers shaping the community. In this context, intellectualism isn't only about having the answer. It is about asking the right question and being willing to learn from others. This moment made me reflect that being intellectual isn't always about academic score or classroom performance. It's more about the desire to make sense of complexity. True intellect lies in our mindset and how we think, listen, adapt, and act with purpose in real-life situations. University trains your mind through theory and structured learning, but real-life situations challenge how you apply that knowledge, revealing the depth and flexibility of your thinking. In class, theories are presented in a neat, structured way. Everything has a definition, a cause, and a result. But life doesn't work like that. Outside the classroom, problems are messy and unpredictable. This is where intellectualism is tested, not by how much you know, but by how well you adapt, respond, and think when things don't go as planned. Before KKN, I thought I was ready. I had studied, developed theories, community empowerment strategies, and effective communication techniques. But once we were on the ground, things didn't go according to plan. The problems we faced weren't clear-cut, and people didn't always respond the way we expected. I realized that real-life issues require more than textbook knowledge. They demand patience, empathy, and the ability to navigate uncertainty. I had to unlearn rigid thinking, and become more flexible, more present. That's when I understood what it really means to think critically and act intelligently in unfamiliar situations. I came to realize that true intellect is flexible and responsive. It's not about sticking to a script, but about being open to challenge and adjusting to approach when reality shifts. Real intelligence shows when you can stay calm in uncertainty, listen deeply, and respond with both logic and empath, even when things don't go as expected. What I once thought of as smart began to shift from having all the right answer to being able to think, adapt, and respond with clarity and care in real situations. Intellectual spaces are not limited to universities, they also exist in everyday environments like villages, where real-life problem challenges to think critically and act with empathy and insight. Knowledge isn't only found in books or classroom. Local leaders often carry wisdom built from years of experience, observation, and connection with their community. Their understanding of the village needs, values, and rhythm taught me that insight comes in many forms. Respecting and learning from them expanded my definition of what it means to be truly knowledgeable. One of the most eye-opening moments was listening to Bapak Mustafa, the village head, as he shared stories about Jambor history, the everyday struggle of people, and the tough decision he had to make to keep the village running. He spoke about UMKM problem, environment, and youth behavior. His word carried depth, and it is not from books but lived experience. As he explained how each decision involve careful consideration of the community's values and long-term impact, I realized that leadership and wisdom aren't always loud or flashy, but deeply thoughtful and grounded in reality. Their knowledge was strategic, ethical, and rooted in long-term thinking. It wasn't just about solving problems quickly without making decisions that respected the community's values and future. I learned that true intellect includes wisdom earned through experience, and that listening to people like Baba Mustafa is just as valuable as any theory taught in university. Being intellectual means respecting knowledge in all its forms, whether it comes from books, lived experience, thoughtful conversation, or the quiet wisdom of those closest to real life challenges. One powerful intellectual moment was our dialogue with the village head, where real knowledge, experience, and critical thinking met in a conversation that challenged and expanded our understanding. We came to ask questions but ended up learning far more than we anticipated. The conversation flowed beyond data collection and turned into space for reflection and growth. Each response from the village had revealed layers of context we hadn't considered. It reminded us that real understanding comes from listening, not just for speaking or asking. During the discussion, one of our teammates asked about the most urgent issue in the village. Baba Mustafa responded by explaining the challenges faced by local farmers during dry season and how the lack of infrastructure affects both agriculture and daily life. Another student brought up ideas from our coursework suggesting a community-based solution. Rather than dismissing them, the village had added insight based on experience, highlighting what had worked before and what had failed. The exchange was respectful and thoughtful, with both sides contributing different forms of knowledge that enriched the conversation. This wasn't just data collection, it was a moment of mutual understanding. We didn't come as experts, but as learners willing to listen. The dialogue helped bridge academic knowledge with lived experience. It taught us that real solutions are born from collaboration, not assumption, and that intellectual growth often begins with humility and genuine curiosity. This wasn't data collection, it was mutual understanding built through trust, respect, and genuine dialogue. We learned that being intellectual also means recognizing the value of perspective differs from our own. When we let go of the need to be right and choose to listen instead, we created space for deeper learning and more meaningful connection.